If you believe in the wealth transfer and you think and believe that Shiba Inu is going to play a part in this wealth transfer, then definitely watch this video. I found some interesting confirmations with prophecies that have been made about Shiba Inu, where we right now already see the manifestations from, and that's what makes me really think that we are very close to a very big event. First, we are going to listen to this prophecy, then I'm going to connect it to real world events that are going on right now that have been predicted correctly, so to say. And later in this video, guys, I will also share with you a task list on what you can do to protect yourself for the event that is going to happen. But guys, before we are going to dive into this content, I just quickly want to say something that's very important. And that is, I know that many YouTubers like to overemphasize emotional states, so forth, to get more clicks and likes. That's just how it works. That's just how the game works. But what's very important, I personally believe, is that you do not fear anything, right? So the intention of making this video is not to spread any fear, do any fear mongering, not at all, guys. It is really important that we connect with one another, that we feel love, that we radiate love, because that's what it's all about. They want us to feel fearful. Don't make them succeed, guys. Let's just stay loving. And be open to what we are going to discuss in today's video, but do not sit in fear, because that will not help anybody. Now, let's jump straight into it. So when you open YouTube and you're looking for Shiba Inu prophecies, there are so many accounts talking about this, guys. It's literally insane. And price targets are being named of like $1, $2, sometimes even $12, $13 I see, 13 cents. 30 cents sometimes you see. So those are crazy valuations, because Shiba Inu right now has just trillions and trillions of tokens, and there are a lot of zeros after the dot, which means that you'll do 1,000, 10,000, 100,000x if it goes to these astronomical figures. So from a pure rational standpoint, guys, it is very unlikely. But in the world that we are living right now, guys, I personally believe that a lot of these unlikely things are going to happen, like miracles going to be born, and we're going to see some crazy things. But instead of looking at all the Shiba Inu prophecies that are going around, I want to, in specific, look at this girl. So the video that we are going to check is from Christiano's friend of Yeshua, and I will leave a link to the original video down below in the description if you like to have a look at that one. The video is posted on September 2022, so that is 3 years ago. Let's listen what she got to say.
Last night, the Lord was speaking, and I kept dreaming last night about the Shiba coin. Actually, I'm looking at my notes. This is when I was asleep. God was talking to me in my sleep. I was asleep. And I wrote, he said this to me in a dream. He said, the Shiba, the $1, it's coming. He said, the Shiba, the $1, it's coming. Then he said, the more you see the money, the more you see how powerful it gets assigned to individuals. So God was saying that the more you see his people, right? We're going to start to see his people with the money, with the wealth transfer, and we're going to start to see what God's people are doing with this money, and we're going to see how powerful it is when God blesses his people.
Guys, this I find so fascinating, because indeed right now in the world we are seeing a very small group of people has almost all the money. But imagine if that would change, if the money would be in different hands, how much the world could actually change. And guys, this is something that I talk about in my personal YouTube as well. I'll leave a link to my personal YouTube down below. I post some videos, and I have some videos getting posted very soon, where we are also going to dive deep into the structures on this earth and how we could actually look different at these structures. And also, and this might be very important as well, for your patience conditions, the timeline of this age and the timeline of the wealth transfer in terms how I interpreted it with all the information that I gather during my research. So guys, definitely check that out.
Because we're not going to use it for evil things. Right now, the people who have most of the money in this world use it for wicked, nasty, defilement, abomination, wicked, wicked, nasty things. But when the tables turn, guys, God is saying, you're going to see how powerful it is when a child of God has resources in their hand. Things are going to start changing. Okay? That's what he told me. And he said the Shiba, the $1 is coming. I think the Lord is saying that Shiba will go to $1. He said the Shiba, the $1 is coming. Then he said Gemini, the Gemini CEO will step down.
This is a very interesting thing that she is saying right here, because we all know Gemini as the exchange, the cryptocurrency exchange by the Winklevoss twins, with the CEO being Tyler Winklevoss. But if you Google Gemini CEO is stepping down, Gemini is also an AI project from Google. And in 2025, on April, we actually have seen that the CEO of Gemini, the Google project, has indeed been stepping down.
He said, pack your gear, elevation, kingdom finances, health restored to you, gains, spells broke, magistrate, new tools and resources abounding.
And this again, I also find super interesting. The things that she's saying, like kingdom finances, spells are being broken, because the things that she says really resonate with me. I think right now we are living in a time, guys, it's a very unique time where the free will of every single one of us is highly, highly respected. Although it doesn't look like it, because we are being steered through manipulation and fear in certain directions. But your authority is so important, and you have the free will to make your choices in this chaos and in this fear. That's really important. Many people, they don't think that they have a choice. They always think that they are the victim of the external circumstances. But right now, I really believe, guys, that is not the case. And what she says, like spells are being broken, makes sense. Like nobody is controlling you once you're conscious of it and once you stand in your authority. This is again why I say early in this video, we should not sit in fear. Fear is a control mechanism. And if you sit in fear, you are easily being controlled. Even though we could be in a scary situation, we could still go through that situation with love, compassion, and so forth, right? That's very important, because then you lead from the heart. You go through it with the heart instead of sitting in fear and being controlled by something external. That's the whole game that is being played. And right now that illusion is falling down, and it becomes clear again that we all actually have authority and we have free will, so we can make decisions, and we are allowed, and others have to respect that, as long as it's of course not harming other people.
The Shiba skyrocketed high, right? But then it plummeted. It went completely down. But then it skyrocketed high, and then it plummeted. It went completely down. So I believe the Lord is saying, like, when it skyrockets and it gets to that point, to pull out. To pull out, because it will go back down.
Guys, pull-out game strong. We need a strong pull-out game.
What I tell you, pull-out game strong, strong.
But she also says later in this prophecy, or in this video, that we cannot have our funds on an exchange. So later in this video, I'm going to explain how I interpret this and how you can actually manage or prepare for this without using directly an exchange, or to actually mitigate your risk.
Then I heard money changers, money changers. And that reminded me of when Jesus was in the temple and he flipped over the tables, right? And the Lord, I believe the Lord is saying that he's about to flip over the tables of the money changers, the people using the money to do wicked things.
Here she talks about flipping money. But think about it, guys. We are all using the US dollar or fiat currencies, right? Let's say overnight you make all that fiat currencies, which is in control of the wicked ones. You completely destroy this currency, and you bring up like a currency like Shiba, or you bring up some cryptos that are pretty decentralized and not really centralized in a small group of people. Then you really flip the money, right? You suddenly take away a lot of power from some and give a lot of power to some others. It will really be a crazy scenario, guys. We have to talk more about this, but flipping the money actually makes a lot of sense if you want to have a reset. And that's why they are also scared of this reset and have to create their own reset, because if this godly reset comes, they'll lose their power anyway, but they will try to put you into fear and let you make a decision where you give again your power to them. So that's why important, do not sit in fear.
Then he said, weather the storm. The storm is coming, guys. Then I heard the power will go out before we know the truth. The power will go out before we know the truth.
The power will go out before we will know the truth. Well, guys, I actually got a warning in my mailbox the other day about a potential power outage. This is an official warning, guys, where they explain what to do when the power goes out or we get a cyber attack that could last 72 hours or more. Pretty funny confirmation.
All night long, I was dreaming about Shiba Coin. After this, right, after I completely fell asleep, all night long, I was dreaming about this. And he was making it a point all night long to tell me to keep my coins on that Nano X ledger. I don't know why. All night long, he was confirming to keep the coins on the Nano X ledger. Yes, thank you, Holy Spirit. Oh, yes. Holy Spirit is reminding me of something that he told me. Yes, on August 30th. What's today? September 1st? The day before yesterday. Cyber attack. I don't know if I said it in the video before this, but he said cyber attack. In the words, he told me cyber attack. He told me flooding in the east. Flooding in the east. So, like, all the east will be flooded.
So here she says some other interesting things. I want to start with the floods, because this is for me one of the most interesting parts that I've seen for her video. She's talking about floods in the east. Well, I don't know if you followed the news a little bit lately, but there are many floods happening right now in Indonesia, Thailand, and in Malaysia. This is, of course, the east, and these floods are pretty unique. Of course, normally with monsoon, rain season, you have some of these floods, but right now the floods are way more extreme. I used to live in that part of the world. I know how it goes down there. I've been in some floods, but the floods that we are seeing right now are definitely way more extreme and covering way more land than it normally does. So what she's saying 3 years ago about floods in the east, I think right now we are seeing the manifestations of it. Also, the cyber attack and the power outage, this is kind of like we are being prepared for this, right? So this is all for me confirmation that this is all lining up. Another thing that she said about the Gemini CEO stepping down, of course, this could be the Gemini exchange with Tyler Winklevoss as the CEO. But imagine that it could also be a small sign, a small hint that we are being prepared for, that we Google it, for example, and we see that the Gemini CEO of that Google project actually did step down. Right? How often does that happen? Right? And how big is the chance that that project is called Gemini and that she's talking about Gemini? So we have now a lot of things lined up. The Gemini CEO has indeed stepped down, what this beautiful lady has been saying. Also, the floods in the east have manifested 3 years after she got the message, and the power outage cyber attacks are on the agenda, and it's pretty obvious that something is going to happen. And I thought about this, guys. I thought about this whole scenario and how this can manifest and how this power outage actually can bring these crazy price predictions. I will share that with you, but I first want to quickly touch the fact that she's talking about the Ledger Nano X. She's talking about keep the coins on the Ledger Nano X. We heard before, we need to pull out. But how can we pull out if it's on the Ledger Nano X? This is something that is bothering me, and I don't have a clear answer, but I do have a strategy. So first of all, if there is a power outage or a cyber attack, of course, many exchanges, guys, can be hacked too. And many people who have money on exchanges can actually lose their funds. So I would definitely say right now as well, be careful with having money on exchanges, right? The exchange can be legit. I'm using many exchanges. I think most of them are legit, but I don't know if they are protected against a cyber attack. Right? I don't know. But when she says, keep your money in a ledger, this is important, she says it multiple times, I would take that very seriously. Right? So maybe you can have part of it on an exchange and part of it on the ledger. So you mitigate risk, you separate the risk. If something happened, you have it already on the exchange, you can act on it, have some sell orders ready. If something happens with the exchange, you have yours on a ledger as well. So you mitigate that risk. That's very important, I personally believe. But I also think everyone should really do their own due diligence and really feel within themselves, what do you feel for yourself is the right thing to do? Does this video resonate with you? The facts or the things that I'm telling to you in this video, does that ring a bell in your body? Or do you think I'm completely crazy? Because many people that I talk to on a daily basis, they absolutely think I'm completely crazy when I bring up these subjects. Anyhow, I just wholeheartedly believe in these things because it just resonates a lot with me. There's a feeling in me that just screams like, yeah, there's something to it. There's something to this. And we all know that the world has not been what it seemed, and that many changes are coming. I believe the world is going to completely change. And the world as we know it, as the old world, as the elite also say it, we are going to a new world. Yes, we are going to a new world because the old world didn't work, because the old world is based on lies, based on manipulation. We have to go to a world where we are open, where we connect with one another, that's based on truth, that's based on love, that's based on compassion, that's based on forgiveness. That is what counts. The neighbor should thrive, you should thrive, the whole world should thrive, not live in fear, live in love, have positive emotions. Now, we go to the part of the rationalization part. Many of you probably feel like, okay, but how could this potentially happen? How could this rationalize? And before I'm going to bring up a scenario, guys, let me just say that I think when miracles come, we don't need to explain it, and maybe we cannot even explain it. Right? I personally believe that there are going to happen things in the not so distant future that are not being able to be explained on a pure material plane. There are deeper layers to this, right? We just see the manifestation, right? There are different causes which we might not always can explain, but I can do my best with the knowledge that I have on the crypto markets. So if you would think about a cyber attack, right? So let's say there is a cyber attack, there is a power outage, right? And a lot of banks are going down and people lose the money in the bank because of the cyber attack, right? They wipe out a lot of money from people. I definitely could see something happening like that. That could start a moment where there will be a flight, and I really feel that something like this is going to happen, that there will be a flight to cryptocurrency, right? Maybe even a flight to US dollar Tether. Maybe we are even going to see a depack of the US dollar Tether, so that US dollar Tether will depack from US dollars, so it will have a different price than $1 US. It will have maybe a price of 0.05 or 1.1, right? So it's 10% more expensive to buy US dollar Tether than it is to the dollar. What could this do with the whole cryptocurrency market? Well, guys, you have to see it like this. If a DPEG happens, and a DPEG could be very much a realistic event when we see a power outage, right? So when you have a power outage or a cyber attack and you see a DPEG, you have a lot of market makers, because you gotta imagine as well, the crypto markets are just all based on liquidity makers and market makers, right? If they pull out because their pull-out game is strong, no, joking, guys, but if they pull out because the US dollar Tether is depegging and their risk increases, all the liquidity is being taken out of the order books. Well, I don't know if you ever bought a very cheap coin with no liquidity. That price just skyrocket if you market buy. So if you get a scenario where we see a power outage, then the US dollar Tether depegs, market makers, they pull out, then you have very thin order books. If then suddenly some liquidity is going to Shiba or maybe to some other tokens, they can skyrocket like crazy because there is no liquidity for the sell orders to be filled, right? When you then buy for 5, 10 or 20,000 US dollars, they just skyrocket high if there is really thin or no liquidity. It's the same what we are seeing recently in the last months to the downside, right? We have seen big crashes among altcoins and Bitcoin as well, mainly because it's a liquidity problem. Nothing is there to catch these sells. That's why it just comes down, right? But the order books right now they are thin. They are maybe a little bit thin, but they are not like extremely thin or something, right? But if we get a DPEG or if we get that power outage and we get a flight to crypto, then we could definitely see something like that happening. So this is just how I think about it, right? So you have like a power outage, which creates a very big distrust, which is of course also created, I believe, distrust in the traditional finance. Then from the traditional finance, there will be a flight to crypto. Crypto will see a DPEG because of the chaos. Market makers pull out, which means there's very low liquidity, very thin order books. But because there's this flight to crypto, there is retail money going into crypto, which is spiking everything like crazy. So that's why she said it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. That's definitely possible in such a scenario. So yeah, guys, this is my analysis of this beautiful prophecy that this lady has shared with us. And I find it, like I said, very interesting. The reason especially why I find it so interesting is because she says some specific things in this video which have come, in my opinion, but maybe the opinions are a little bit divided on that, in my opinion, have come to fruition. Like the CEO stepping down of Gemini and the floods in the Middle East. And although not really manifested yet, we are kind of like being prepared for it. This cyber attack or big electricity outage. So I would also say, guys, the tips that I can give anyone is be happy, of course, connect with other people. This is, of course, the fundamental base. It's very important. Stand to your authority, live authentically, meditate, pray, do all these type of things. But in terms of crypto, keep your funds really divided, right? Have most of it on cold storage. Because maybe in the cyber attack, that will survive. Because she says on multiple times, your Ledger, Nano, X, and so forth. Exchanges might carry a risk, but you also carry a risk if you do not use an exchange at all, because then you might not be able to sell in certain moments of crazy spikes. Because we all know as well, when things are going crazy in the market, you cannot really deposit. Sometimes the deposits, they are paused, withdrawals are paused, sometimes orders are paused. So that's something you got to think of as well, I personally believe. So this is something you got to think about for yourself. I would say safest way is to diversify. Have some on an exchange, maybe multiple exchanges, right? And have some on the ledger. So in both cases, you can move whenever it is necessary. I think, guys, things are going to happen very quickly. I've talked about it on this channel. I'm talking also about it on my personal channel, talking about the timelines. I think for me it's very clear which years things are going to happen. And it's also becoming more and more clear for me what our role is going to be in this whole scenario, this whole play that is going out. And I think that is a very important conversation we all need to have. So if you are interested in that as well, make sure to join me as well on my personal channel. I will leave a link to my personal channel down below in the description. If you like to watch the video from this prophecy, she says more things in the video. If you find it interesting, I'll leave a link to her YouTube channel down below as well. Subscribe to her. Maybe she will have some very interesting messages in the future. She appears to me very genuine, very loving. So I really want to thank her as well for sharing that message. So a big thank you. And guys, I want to wish every single one of you a beautiful day. Be careful. And I hope to see every single one of you in the next video. Bye-bye.